number of years ago, probably about 49 years ago, I was a junior in high school. It was about this time of the year. And there was this girl in my class who just was the most beautiful person I had ever seen. She was in all of my classes, and I fell deeply and headlong in love. And so when it came for prom time, we had a junior prom in the old days. I screwed up enough nerve, and I went up to her one day during the lunch hour, and I said to her, "Hi, would you go to prom with me?" And she looked at me, and she said, "Who are you?" I was crushed. It was my first experience at unrequited love. I had loved that woman, that young girl, so much, and she didn't love me back. Now, if you're honest, you probably will admit that somewhere in your past is a very similar story in which you have loved someone so much, so completely, and they don't even know you exist, or maybe even what's worse, they've told you to hit the road. Understand the feeling? Anybody not ever have somebody that they were so completely and totally in love with them that they've never experienced unrequited love? The reason I start with that story is if the narrative, the passion narrative that we read today was pulled out of the Bible and made a book unto itself, it would be listed in the library under nonfiction romance. Because the passion narrative is a romantic story. It is, in fact, a love story of a God who loved his people so much that he would do anything in order to build the relationship anew with his people, so much that he would send his only Son, Jesus Christ, that God himself would become like us so that he could show just how much he loved us. And what did he get? He got them yelling for Barabbas. If there was ever a story of unrequited love, it is the story of God's love for his people. The purpose of the story today is not merely to listen to some event that took place 2,000 years ago. It is for us to understand that that story gets played out every single day of our lives, in which God says to you, "I love you," and waits for our response. Too often, we believing Christians turn to God when we're asked that question and we go, "Who are you?" Or what's worse, "Leave me alone. I have other things to do. I have other people to meet. I have other things to love that are so much more important than you." Or at worst, we go, "Just give me Barabbas and leave me alone." The passion narrative is a love story par excellence, except it just proves the fact that we Christians, down through the centuries, and even back through the centuries before it, if you read the Old Testament, God comes up to us every day and says, "I love you. Would you like to be with me?" And most of us go, what's your name? Who are you? What do you want? Or we just walk away. As we begin our Holy Week, the holiest week of the year as Christians, let us think about what our response is. God, right now, in this service, in our procession with palms, in the sermon, in the prayers that we will now say, the Eucharist we will now share, God says, I love you. What are you going to say back? Amen.